So I have every reason not to make this video right now. Like, I just got into an argument with my girlfriend, and I just came home from the gym where I was in the sauna, and I'm disgusting right now. But it's important that I continue to just make these videos and put them out. So I'm gonna put this out unedited. And I really hope that this is helpful, because I don't try to coach from the place where I'm perfect and I have it all figured out. There's actually a lot that I'm still figuring out, and there's a lot that I'm learning. There's a lot of unshelling and improvement that I've already made, yes, and I'm thankful for that growth, but there's a lot of growth that I still recognize that I need to do. As I have been on this journey and this path, I have seen that things that I have looked back and helped others with have been really helpful for them. And so the system that we're going to talk about today is the drive system. And it's specifically for those who feel like they don't struggle with information or more motivation, because so many of us men in the modern era, we've been exposed to so much of this information. We've heard Alex Hormozy, we've heard David Goggins, and we all understand that we need to increase our output and we need to do more. And of course, we need to do more high quality. But there's the disconnect where we actually do that. We know what we want to do in our heads, but then the moment comes and then the moment takes us away. So I know and I understand that I don't want to argue with my girlfriend. But when I'm seeing that she's not listening to me, and I'm seeing that she wants to side somewhere else in with me, and that she doesn't have emotional capacity for me, I can understand that, okay, my response in this moment really speaks to myself and what I need more of. And that's not more information. I know not to go back and forth. It's not more motivation. I know that I want to do better with this person. But it is somewhere in the drive. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so, D-R-I-V-E, drive. First of all, we want to start with our direction. Do we know where we want to go with this? And this is really important to understand for our motivation, because with your direction, do you know where to go? Do you know what to do? Do you know how to execute? And that's where a lot of us will have the information. And so if that's not what's affecting you, then we can move on to the next. But if it is, then you can stop yourself here and you can find more direction. You can get the leadership, you can gain the wisdom, and then we can start moving you in that direction. Next is it your rewards? Is what you are doing currently rewarding you enough? And so a lot of men will be working and they'll be working hard. And it's so admirable. But then they keep their head down because, okay, I just have to work hard. But are you working into a dead end that's not serving you? Are the rewards high enough to the caliber that you need to serve yourself? Otherwise, we need to find a new reward so that that can serve for our motivation. Otherwise, is it interference? Is there something that is actually an obstacle in your way? So if you struggle with your emotional maturity and you don't have an environment where you can completely be emotionally mature, that might be interference for your output, and that's completely understandable. Okay, are you under the influence of these substances that are affecting you in a way that they become interference? Like, okay, people can drink, and we're not here to shame that, but are you posting it all the time? Is it your identity? And do you go to the next place hungover? Do you wake up not feeling well, not able to handle your day, or can you handle your business? Again, you have to understand that for yourself, but that's going to be interference. There's so many obstacles that can get in people's way that they don't even recognize. And this can be things like the influences around us. That's why we do a top 5 audit in the Complete Life OS. Sometimes you don't know what it is that you're hearing. It's that streamer that continues to talk about gambling, and then all of a sudden now you want to try gambling. Okay, it's Nelk boys and they're always with beautiful women drinking a ton of alcohol, so now you find yourself wanting to be with beautiful women and drink a ton of alcohol. It can be so easy to find yourself led down the wrong path. And this is something that I saw for myself in college. When I was in my junior and senior year, I had this roommate, Van, my best friend, that killed himself. And what I didn't understand was he was plotting it for so long, and he had this negative environment that was in his head and that he was bringing into reality. And it was changing his relationships. And it really did become an interference for me, because as my best friend, I was caring for him, I was tending to it. But it was influencing me, and it was interfering with me in a way that I didn't understand. When he passed, his death really affected me. But what I also came to understand was that I was thankful that he passed and that we were both able to move on. I wish him peace, and he chose his path, right? We all have our reward. We all have our direction. If you figure that's where you want to go and that's what's going to give you the reward, damn it. But we all have that, and we all do decide for ourselves. And so I decided that I had a different direction. I understood that I wanted higher level rewards, but I wasn't yet understanding the interference that was in my way yet. And that's one of the hardest things to understand, but it's exactly why we go through this in the Drive audit. So I'm just going to show you real quick on my screen. This is a Notion page. So if you have Notion, you can access this, and this is a free resource that I have. A simple system for turning what you know into sustained momentum, because you probably don't need information or motivation. So check the drive, the direction, the reward, the interference, the visibility, the execution. All of these have a drop down that you can go into and fill in your answers for, that will just help you find that clarity and gather all that information in the same place. And so next is to understand if we need more visibility. And this is for high-level executors, right? You already have your direction. You're already served by your rewards. You're making a good amount of money. Sure, you might want to make more, but you can settle at least a little bit for the level of reward you're getting. You don't have that much interference, so you've cleared your space. You've cleared the influences that are around you. They're not stopping your productivity. You're able to go full speed. You're able to handle business. Awesome. Good for you. Well, then is it a problem of visibility? Because it sounds like you're highly competent, but are you in a space that's going to see that? And are you able to see the results of your own work in a way that you can make the narrative positive for yourself, in a way where you're going to continue not just to keep going, but then to elevate from that level because you know that you have your own visibility? Or again, is it a part of the environment? You have all the qualities, but you just need to express yourself further and gain more visibility for your traction. This could be where we're stopping. Otherwise, and for the rest of us, execution. Doing it, getting it done, getting it out there. I feel like that can be what I struggle with most, because I've handled my direction. I felt lost for a long time. After I lost lacrosse, I was so lost. I literally spent my entire childhood wanting to be a professional athlete. So I trained and I trained and I trained. I had some friends, but I went to school far from them. I was about 40 minutes at least from most friends. And with traffic, it was worse. So I couldn't see many of them. When I would see them, great. But I also remember, okay, well, I have to leave the weekend sleepover early because I have to go train. And then I would go train. Awesome. I'm so glad that I had that instilled in me early. But when I lost lacrosse, I had zero direction. And that was something I had to find for myself. I'm very thankful that when I was looking for my direction, I had people around myself like Frank Luntz, like Michelle Kidley, like Matt Tolmack. Without them, life would have been a lot different, because then I would have struggled further to find my direction. It's not saying that I never would have, but having elite level leadership, coaching, and mentorship at a time when you're trying to find your direction is very helpful. And I'm eternally thankful for that. Next, we have rewards. With rewards, I was just seeing with the path that I was on, it wouldn't be worth it, right? I invented the ice pick, a cannabis accessory. I decided that I didn't want to continue moving in that direction because I would have to keep making content around it. And the reward, the payoff wasn't worth it, because I wanted to be Coach Sammy. I wanted to be the influence, the role model that was very helpful in helping people get to their new places. And so I had to be that as well. I'm thankful that I chose that journey. We all get to choose our journey. Like some people want to be the best rave dancer. Some people want to be the best billionaire, whatever, cool. Every path has its own way and it comes with its own positives and negatives, but you have to decide the rewards, and I just decided that I wasn't being rewarded by that and that this was the path. This is the path. And so I found my new rewards, right? Some down before we go back up. But the reward wasn't just monetary. It was who I was becoming. It was the person I was being to others. And eventually, when I started to see the result, it was how much people trusted me with their word. How open, vulnerable, and honest people are with me that they're not typically with other people. How much younger people gravitate toward me. Like, I'll be in the store picking something, and then I'll just see kids looking at me like, what is he picking? Because it seems like he has the right options in order. Or they might be more willing to say something, interact, smile at me. And to receive more smiles in the world is a beautiful reward. Because if we didn't have this system that we have, I would be just thankful moving around and receiving what I receive for what I earn. Otherwise, everyone is always so transactional because that's what we have to be and that's what works for them. That's what's their reward. And so I had to define a new reward. After that, it was find and root out a lot of the interference. And I'm thankful that I didn't necessarily have Van as a mental interference, but I do continue to struggle with interference, right? Everybody does. With my older brother, I saw that he really needed space away from my parents when he went off to college and then after. And that produced an environment where he felt like he could grow on his own terms. I understand, right? Sometimes we have to make those decisions to root people out, sure, whatever. And then also there is loving people and caring about them and wanting to work with them so that they can remain in your environment and seeing the best in them, just needing them maybe not to be interference. Well, these are all things that we have to communicate. That just has to be improved through communication because it can be so hard. And we can have fallouts and we can have fights, yes. But that doesn't mean that we need to run away from that. It might happen. What we have to be willing to do is keep a strong intention, know the overall vision, the direction that we're trying to work in, and then hopefully continue to execute, right? But some of these interferences you can't just root out. A lot of times you'll hear people say, okay, cut out your friends and all that. Yes and no. It's just so hard to do. Sometimes you have to care about people. Sometimes you have to be willing to communicate. And if that communication isn't received, if your higher standard isn't received by them, well then okay, maybe part directions. Otherwise, if you don't give people a chance to be exposed to your higher standard, then I would say, yes, this is just running away from things, and then your interference is probably more internal than external. If you continue to find issues with all these other people, but then you don't really find the solutions within yourself, well then, yes, you are the problem. And it's really interesting because I found myself being extremely in my own way. The interference that I was providing to myself was so extreme, and it was specifically because I kept introducing myself to the influences that were so negative. So I would keep going out with the guys, and then we would drink and party when I was in college, and it would just get too extreme. And I was doing that so much to a point where it just became internal. A lot of that is because I didn't have the voices in my head, really the internal leadership, the guidance, the structure to tell myself, no, let's not. But then I did keep doing it. And then I did keep acting out. And then I did keep escalating. And so I only say that to say I had to remove a lot of interference in myself. And there's a lot of interference that I continue to remove in myself. That's a part of growth. You're even going to hear these guys like David Goggins, Alex Hormozy. Maybe not Alex Hormozy because he is stoic as could be, but like David Goggins will still tell you he has the conversations in his head. He still sees the fat guy. There is still that interference. It's just about how we work around it or how we work with it. Then visibility. Do you tolerate the level that you are at and that you are viewed? A lot of men will say no, but they will say no internally. It's hard to admit. And for a long time, I just didn't appreciate how I viewed myself, the visibility that I gave myself, because I was just holding myself to a really low standard, and also the visibility that I was getting from other people. I was getting attention, I was getting some respect, I was getting support, but it wasn't in a way to the level that I would actually value. I was just getting it for the things that I was doing. And it was something that I was so used to from being a high level athlete. Being a good athlete at a young age, but not being good enough, can be so challenging for you mentally, because you go to these spaces, you just dog walk everyone, you have a great time shaking shit up, everyone thinks you're the GOAT. And then you play harder competition, and then it's like, shit, that was really hard. But then you don't see hard competition again for a while. So you keep thinking you're the GOAT, all that shit. And then eventually you're only playing top dogs. And that's when shit gets really hard. And that's how you have to see, like, if you have it or not. And for me, that was college. But at that time, I was getting some visibility that I wanted. I wasn't a good enough player, but there were still girls that wanted me. There was still the time at the bar and I could come home with somebody, or, oh, it's a lacrosse Sammy, whatever. I had my gear that I could wear around campus. And so for a long time, I just tolerated the visibility that I was getting. But after time, it just certainly proved that it wasn't enough. And that's after we do a lot of this work to find the direction, to find the rewards that suit me, to find the interferences in the way. Because then we can start to actually focus on, okay, well, this that I am, how do I view it? How is it being viewed? And then lastly, the level of execution. Everyone's going to struggle with this. Yes, there are high-level operators, and even high-level operators want to be higher-level operators. Even low-level operators want to be higher-level operators. So this is for everyone, right? I can tell you all the times that I've struggled with execution. I can also show you the times where I don't struggle with execution, because through all of this struggle, this is what I've been able to make, and this is what I've been able to find and focus on to help other people with. So I just talked to a young man today. We're talking about his drive. Where is it? He's able to now see these things so that he doesn't just deal with all the negative influence that he's taken in, so that he's not just fighting with his partner, so that he's not just drinking on the weekends, doing it like, it's the same for a lot of us. We have our vices, we have our grips, we have the things that we're running toward, we have the things that we're running from. Some people are neurotypical, really easy for them. Other people struggle. And if you struggle, we need solutions. And I think this is one of them. If you want this document, I'd be happy to send it to you, because it's, again, free. You just have to download Notion. Please give me your feedback on it. And this is how Drive has helped me. Thanks for your time.